Hello, this is the Shadow Ranger. I just watched 3 videos by Dalyxman that I thought were very good videos, and I wanted to respond to them. Instead of doing 3 separate video responses, I'm going to take advantage of the fact that I can go over 15 minutes and respond to all 3 topics in one video. The 3 videos in question by Dalyxman that I'm responding to are WWE, the time to push new wrestlers is now. The second one, backstage heat on John Morrison and Melina. And the third, the value of pro wrestling championship belts in 2011 WWE and TNA. Alright, I will post the link to Dalyxman's channel in the description box. You can hop over to his channel and check out all through his videos. Again, they were 3 very good videos, and I think you should all check them out. So I'm just going to give some of my own thoughts on these 3 topics. I'm going to start with the value of pro wrestling championship belts in 2011 WWE and TNA. And here's my thoughts on title belts. I have to agree that title belts, championships, have been very much devalued. Really, outside of the world titles, none of the belts are really being made to feel important. I would say just the world titles and the TNA tag team titles do get made to look pretty good. Although they've had a little bit of a slump over the past couple of months. I think they're going to get those back on track pretty soon. But, you know, I think the TNA world title and the WWE title are really the only belts that are treated pretty well, because they're the only belts that are treated as important and that other wrestlers seem to want. And I think that's really the main thing about making a championship belt feel important. A championship belt is a prop. It's used to get wrestlers over, and sell pay-per-views. However, the prop only works if people care about it. If no one cares about the championship, it won't do any good. That's why we've seen so many guys get short title runs in WWE that amount to nothing. You know, Jack Swagger, Kofi Kingston had the IC title, and Daniel Bryan with the US title. No one cared about them being champions because no one cared about the championships. And there's really only one real thing you need to do to make championships feel important and be useful as title props and as draws. Is that they have to look important. You have to portray the fact that the championship is something that everybody wants. The champion needs to look important, and everyone else who isn't champion needs to talk about the fact that they want to be champion. And you don't have that. So let's look at the title belts and how we could actually do something with it to make them look important. Now, the one that feels the most egregious to me right now is the TNA television title. I like Gunner, and I like that they put the belt on him to do something with. I did a whole video where I talk about Gunner and things he could do with that belt. It's called Much Ado About Gunner. Go check it out. But they don't make him look important. He got the belt, but he still gets treated like he's still the jobber security guard. The guy has a good look. He clearly has talent. Make him look important. People will care about him being champion if he acts like he likes being a champion. The fact he doesn't act like he even likes being the TV champion. Give this guy a storyline. Give this guy a feud. Put him on pay-per-view. Why isn't Gunner on the Lockdown pay-per-view? You know, you got a pre-show match for the Lockdown, which is Devon versus Anarchia. Why not Gunner versus Devon in a TV title match? At least get the belt over. I mean, making the belt seem important is 1, giving guys lengthy title reigns. 2, lots of title defenses. 3, other wrestlers saying that they want the belt. Every promo by a person who isn't champion, they should mention something about wanting to win a title. Every X Division guy who cuts a promo, at some point in that promo needs to say something about needs to mention the fact that he wants to be X Division champion. Somehow send the message, I want to be champion. You know, even if they're in a feud that has nothing to do with the title, they should say something like, once I'm done with you, I'm going out, I can set my sights back on the title. You know, if you have, you know, say for example, the world title, TNA world title, you have Samoa Joe feuding with Pope. Every promo that those guys cut, at some point they should mention something along the lines of, once I'm done with you, I'm going after the title. Wrestlers should always talk about the fact that they want to be champion. That sends a message that the championship is important, and it will make people care about who is the champion. Also, give guys good title runs. The reason John Cena, when he won his first WWE title, was such a big deal is because he won it from JBL, who had been champion for 10 months. They built JBL up just to lose to Cena. They had him beat Eddie Guerrero to win the title. He beat Booker T. He beat The Big Show. He beat The Undertaker. He beat Kurt Angle. I'm forgetting somebody. See, Eddie didn't even beat Undertaker. Then he beat Booker T. Then he beat Eddie, Booker T, and Undertaker in a 4-way. Then he beat Kurt Angle and Big Show in a triple threat. Then he beat Big Show in the Barbed Wire Steel Cage. They put JBL over top name talents and had him carry the belt for 10 months. And he carried that belt great. So that when John Cena beat him for him, people cared because he finally took the belt off of JBL, who they just wanted somebody to beat. That's how good he was at getting heat. They wanted anybody to beat JBL, and because he had such a long, lengthy title reign, he always talked about how much the WWE title meant to him. He would frequently say, "If I lose the title, I will leave SmackDown forever." He made the point, if I'm not champion, I don't even want to be here. He made the belt feel important, so people cared when Cena beat him for it. You juxtapose that to Sheamus beating Daniel Bryan for the U.S. title. No one cared because Daniel Bryan only had 3 freaking televised title defenses in the 5 months that he was champion. He never talked about the fact that he never cut a promo. Daniel Bryan never talked about how important the U.S. title was to him, about how proud he was that he won the U.S. title, and how he was going to do whatever it took to keep that title, and that it's a great accomplishment. He never talked up the belt, so no one cared that he was champion. And because no one cared that Daniel Bryan was champion, no one cared when Sheamus won it from him. And if Sheamus doesn't talk about liking the fact that he's U.S. champion, no one will care that he is champion, and no one will care when he loses it either. The only belts anybody cares about are the world titles, because those are the only titles that the champions care about having. Sting puts over the TNA title, talking about how much he wants it. Anderson and RVD put over the title, talking about how much they want. Sting puts over how much he's glad that he has it and how much he wants to keep it, and Anderson and RVD constantly talk about how much they want it. They never shut up about that TNA world title, and they shouldn't. AJ Styles mentions wanting a shot at the title. Bully Ray talked about wanting a shot at the title. They had people treating that belt like we want it. The same with the WWE title. The Miz talks about being the WWE champion. He talks about how much he wanted to win the title, how much he wanted to remain champion. Now he's gonna do anything he can to keep it. And when the Miz loses that belt, people will actually care because they actually care about that belt. Making championships important is easy. The champion has to talk about how much being champion means to him. Everybody else has to talk about how much they want to be champion. You actually have to make the champion look good. Have Gunner come out there and cut promos. Talk about how proud he is to be the television champion. Have him talk about how it's his biggest accomplishment and how it means more than anything to him. And now he's going to fight and do whatever he has to do to keep that title. Kazarian should be saying the same thing about the X Division title. Beer Money say the same thing about the tag team titles, but they're so focused on the Immortal feud that their titles have become pretty much secondary. You talk about the U.S. title and Intercontinental title. No one gives a crap that Wade Barrett is Intercontinental champion because no one gave a crap that Kofi Kingston was champion. And I don't remember who Kofi won the belt from, but but no one cared about that guy either. I think it was not Drew McIntyre. Dolph Ziggler. I can't remember, but nobody cares that Kofi was champion, and nobody cares that Wade is champion, and Wade Barrett hasn't done a damn thing to make us care that he's Intercontinental champion. Same with the tag titles. Everybody on SmackDown Every undercard guy should be talking about wanting the Intercontinental title. If people talk about wanting the Intercontinental title, if people come out and challenge for the Intercontinental title, then people will, then fans will care about it, and they'll be willing to pay to see an Intercontinental title match. Other thing I would do is treat the secondary titles as if they're almost as important as the world title by putting them in gimmick matches. Having people take some of the gimmick matches that normally are only done in world title matches and do them for the secondary title. You want somebody to care about the Intercontinental title? Excuse me. Have somebody challenge. Have them defend the Intercontinental title in a ladder match. Have a steel cage match for the Intercontinental title. Have a last man standing match for the Intercontinental title. Have a first blood match for the TNA television title. Have a freaking bull rope match for the US title. Use some of those fucking gimmicks. Can you imagine how much people would care if they did like Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan? They're gonna have a Hell in a Cell match for the US title. You know, show that people are willing to break their bodies and put their careers on the line to win those championships, and fans will care about it, and they will be more willing to tune in and pay money to see those championships defended. Alright, let's move on to the second video. I done ran about belts enough. Backstage heat on John Morrison and Melina. I'm gonna go ahead and do this one first because actually there's some parts in this one that's gonna link to my thoughts on the third video. This is really weird, but if these rumors are true, it just shows John Morrison being very unprofessional and letting his woman run his life. There's a couple things this story lets me realize that John Morrison doesn't realize are true. First of all, John Morrison needs to realize that he can replace Melina easier than she can replace him. John Morrison is a good-looking man who has money and fame. He could have. There's plenty of other divas who date him, and plenty of good-looking women that would date him. They would date him too. John Morrison. The term they used to use in the old days was rats, which is, you know, women in the towns that wrestlers would have sex with when they on the road. John Morrison could have a ton of rats, man. John Morrison, good looking and famous. There's plenty of women in every town that would gladly sleep with John Morrison. He don't need Melina. He can have 15, 20, hundreds of women after him, man. Second thing John Morrison needs to realize is that he's in WWE. He's not in TNA or Ring of Honor. And that's kind of going to lead me into partially what I have to say about the third video, which is, you know, you talk about people say that John Morrison should be champion and should be a main eventer. No, he shouldn't. Regardless of this stuff with Melina or him snubbing Trish, which, by the way, that was an unprofessional way to handle it. You know, I got to agree with Dalyxman. You should have went to Vince, and if you had grievances, you should have went to Vince McMahon and at least express your grievances and, you know, ask him if he would be willing to try to do something different. I mean, I don't think there's anything really wrong with saying, look, I don't like this. Can we do something different? I don't think this is fair. I don't think this is right. Vince probably wouldn't have listened, but at least he could have been professional about it instead of just being an ass to Trish. Trish didn't do anything wrong. They asked her to do it, and she came and did it. You know. Anyway, people talk about John Morrison should be a main eventer. No, he shouldn't. Not because of you know, the stuff with Melina and the rumors about Batista. John Morrison shouldn't be a main eventer because John Morrison is boring. He is boring. And that is why I say that he needs to remember that he's in the WWE. He's not in TNA or Ring of Honor. What does John Morrison bring to the table? He has a cool entrance and he can do some flashy moves. But who gives a fuck about his flashy moves? What does John Morrison do that we haven't seen a bunch of X Division guys do? You know, I say that because characters are what get you to the top of the WWE. If he was in TNA or ROH, he could get by just having some flashy moves. But that's not gonna work. You're not gonna be a champion and a main eventer in WWE just by going out there and getting in the ring every night and pretending to be the X Division champion. That don't cut it in WWE. And really, if he fucks up and gets released, I don't see a whole lot of room for him in TNA if he don't develop something, because his flashy moves that make the WWE audiences cheer aren't going to work on a TNA audience, because he doesn't do jack that we hadn't seen an X Division guy do. Plus, if the stories are true about the fact that TNA has a new policy about not hiring ex-WWE guys unless they were major stars, which the past couple of months would probably show to be true, because they hadn't brought in MVP and or Shelton Benjamin or Charlie Haas or Jillian Hall or Serena Deeb or a lot of these other people that people thought would show up in TNA, or Tiffany, or none of them. The rumor was that TNA has a new policy that they're only going to hire ex-WWE talents that were top names. They considered Mickie James and Matt Hardy to be top names, and that's why they got offered contracts. No one else is going to get offered one. And I don't think they're going to consider John Morrison a top name. And even if they did, what does he bring to the table in TNA? I'll throw that out as a challenge to anybody who sees this video. What does John Morrison have to bring to TNA? What can he do that we ain't seen 15 different X Division guys do? And if all this stuff is true, this baggage about him and Melina, TNA is going to bring him in and want to deal with that same fucking baggage. Yeah, they got enough problems already. You think they gonna bring in this extra baggage when they already got to deal with the baggage of Kurt Angle and the baggage of the fucking Hardys? You think they need more fucking emotional baggage, wrestlers with emotional baggage to deal with? They don't got time for that. But back to the other point I was making, John Morrison isn't going to be a main eventer in WWE because John Morrison is boring. WWE stars, main eventers are about characters, personalities. Yes, John Morrison has a cool interest, and yes, he can do some flashy X Division moves, but what if John Morrison as a person? What if John Morrison as a character? What if John Morrison as a human being? What is he about? What does he do? What does he represent? What are his morals? We know what John Cena stands for. He puts it on a shirt. Hustle, loyalty, respect. Cool, that's who I am. That's what I do. John Cena has made it very clear to make his point is that I am going to be me whether you like me or not. Some of you will cheer me, some of you will boo me, but I'm not going to try to force you to do one thing or another. I'm never going to tell you that you're wrong for booing me because you don't like me, but I'm not going to change who I am just to make you happy. We understand the Miz. The reason why the Miz has moved so far beyond John Morrison is because the Miz has an interesting character. He has a personality. We know who the Miz is. We know what he represents. He talks about his story, that he came from reality TV and went up through Tough Enough and hosted SmackDown and clawed and scratched to get where he is, while all he had to deal with was people telling him that he doesn't deserve to be here and he doesn't belong and he needs to go back to Real World and MTV. And now I've made it to the top of WWE. I have the WWE title and I'm not letting it go for anybody. And if you don't like it, you come and fucking take this belt from me. If you want me back to leave WWE, you fucking come and get rid of me. I understand the Miz. I know who he is. I know who he represents. And that's going to lead me into my thoughts on the third video, which was WWE, the time to push new wrestlers is now. I totally agree they need to push new wrestlers, and this is the point that I've said in so many other videos, and Dalyxman has disagreed with me a lot when I say this, but it's about characters and personality. That is why these young talents, this youth movement doesn't work and why they don't get over, because so many of them are boring. You notice the only ones who are interesting, the only ones who made it anywhere are the ones who show some type of unique personality that sets them apart from the rest of the group. Why was Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania facing a legendary Rey Mysterio? Why Ted DiBiase wasn't even on the card and John Morrison was stuck in a match with Snooki? Because Cody Rhodes actually shows personality, a persona, a gimmick. I get who Cody Rhodes is. I know what he's about. I know what he represents. I'm dashing Cody Rhodes. I'm the most handsome, good-looking star in the WWE because the diva said so. And I talk about how great I am and how great I look and how I'm the most handsome guy. And then Rey Mysterio damaged my beautiful face, and now I'm turned, and it's fucked with my psyche, and now I want to hurt people to make them look as bad as Rey Mysterio made me look. I get who Cody is. I understand his personality. I know what he's about and represents. But right now I have the WWE roster page opened up, and these young dudes are just boring. As I go down the list, Alex Riley is boring. Chris Masters is boring. Kurt Hawkins is boring. Daniel Bryan is boring. Yes, he's a great wrestler, but he is dull as a box of rocks. What is Daniel Bryan's personality? What is his persona? What is he about? What does he represent? Going down the line, David Hart Smith, boring. Del Otunga, boring. Ziggler, boring without Vicky Guerrero because she gets all his heat for him, but Vicky gets more heat than the damn sun. I said this in a video months ago. The reason that other dude, Eric Escobar, got fired because he couldn't even get heat with Vicky Guerrero. If you can't get heat with Vicky Guerrero, you don't deserve to be in the WWE. But take away Vicky and Dolph Ziggler is boring. Drew McIntyre, Evan Bourne, Heath Slater, Husky Harris, Jack Swagger, The Usos, John Morrison, JTG, Justin Gabriel. The list goes on and fucking on. Kofi Kingston, Mason Ryan, Michael McGillicuddy, Michael Tarver, the fucking Bella Twins, all the babyface divas, really, the divas all the divas except Lay Cool. Who other than Lay Cool shows any type of personality when you really think about it? The heels all walk around throwing their hands up and talking about how they sexy and they too good for everybody, and the babyfaces all come out smiling and waving and jumping up and down. I was thinking, the past couple weeks on Impact, Angelina Love has done a great job doing an impersonation of a WWE diva. She looked hot and showed absolutely no personality. Going down the line, where'd I leave off? Primo, Ted Jr., Trent Beretta, Tyler Rex, Tyson Kidd. Boring. They are all dull and boring. Good wrestlers, but that does not get you to the top of the WWE. Everybody that has ever been a top star, a main event in the WWE, was somebody who was interesting, who had an interesting character. For example, if I ask you to tell me how Triple H is different from William Regal, personality-wise, you can answer that. You don't have to give me their bios, where they're from, and how long they train. You can tell me personality-wise how Triple H is different from William Regal, how William Regal is different from Vladimir Kozlov, how Kozlov is different from Zack Ryder, how Zack Ryder is different from The Undertaker. But try some of these youth movement guys without jumping into their biography. Personality wise, character wise, how is Tyson Kidd different from Trent Beretta? How is Trent Beretta different from Ted DiBiase Jr.? How is Ted Jr. different from, who's next on the list, Michael McGillicuddy? How is Michael McGillicuddy different from Justin Gabriel? How is Justin Gabriel different from John Morrison? How is Morrison different from the Usos? These dudes are all the same boring guy. Heath Slater, Jack Swagger, Evan Bourne. Evan Bourne is just the same as John Morrison. He's got some flashy X Division moves, but who is Evan Bourne as a person? What does he say on the mic? Oh wait, he doesn't. He doesn't talk. Daniel Bryan doesn't talk. Otunga tries to talk and screws it up every time. These dudes are boring. And yes, I agree, Dalyxman, that WWE needs to push new stars. The time to push new wrestlers is now, but to make these wrestlers get over, to make people care, they need personas. They need characters. This is why I always talk about how important characters are, and not just your wrestling ability. How your character is more important than your wrestling ability. Let me check my time. Alright, I'm at 23 minutes. Yeah, that's all I want to say about that. So, WWE got youth movement of WWE. Start trying to develop yourself a character. John Morrison, you're expendable. WWE has full rosters, FCW, NXT, Tough Enough. There's supposedly a new Diva search coming later this year or next year. You and Melina are both replaceable, and if all the bullshit about you is true, I'm not sure TNA is going to want to put up with you, because they got enough screwed up people in their company to deal with themselves. You bring nothing to the table in WWE. You really don't bring anything to the table in TNA. I mean, You know, I like to do fantasy booking, and the reason I always fantasy book TNA is because at least the TNA guys have some type of different personalities that allow me to work with them. I don't fantasy book WWE stuff that much because I have to start off by giving all these dudes personalities. You want me to fantasy book 6-month title run of Robbie E as X Division champion? That I can do. Make Daniel Bryan interesting? That I can't. He's got to do that himself. I can't do that for him. And again, championship belts. Put them on somebody. Make the champion look important. Have the champion say that the belt is important. And have other people talk about wanting to be the champion. That is what will fix all your belts. That simple. Alright, yeah, so that's all I'll say about these 3 videos, these 3 topics from Dalyxman. Hop over to his page and check out his videos. This is the Shadow Ranger. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day.